Okay, the whole reason why we have this show, I'll tell you, Nate, it's called HipHop Drop, Thursdays 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Is to get a chance to hear stories. And people who love rap and hip-hop, whether it be old, new, people who make music, people who just love to listen to music, to tell the stories. So tell the story of that song we just heard right now.
Okay, I believe it was made in, it felt like summer of 2007, but I was in a desert, so I think it actually might have been like spring or probably, no, it was fall time. I remember, yeah, it was fall time. I was staying in this thing called a chew. It's like a housing for soldiers in Iraq, and it was made in it was in West Baghdad. That's where I made the entire album, Wasted Talent. And I took samples from the audio that you hear in there of like the news reporter. It was actually from that movie Skins.
I heard the song before I watched the movie.
Yeah.
So I was watching the movie and it tripped me out, like, oh, that's where he got that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got the sample from there. I made the beat entirely by myself. And I knew Sean One. You know Sean One. Shout out to Sean One. He's out there in Tacktown putting it down. But I never personally worked with Sean, and I still hadn't worked with Sean. I just sent him this is when MySpace was popular, so I sent him a MySpace message, and I said, hey, you want to jump on this? And we did the whole thing by email, and yeah, we developed the song. And ever since then, I always had a special spot on all my albums for a certain song with Sean. We have our own chemistry, when it comes to making a song together. We work very well together, absolutely. But that's actually one of my favorite songs off of the Wasted Talent album.
So you're in West Baghdad. Yep. How do you record when you're on duty? You have to do what you have to do as a soldier. When did you even have time to record? That's what I always wanted to know. Okay,
so I would go on these 12-hour missions sometimes, and I get back, I'd be hungry, I'll go eat, and my first priority was to make music, write or make a beat and get it done as fast as possible, because Baghdad was crazy. I thought I was gonna die. And I was like, I love making music, and if I don't leave anything behind, what good did I do? So I made a priority. I was working my butt off every day, writing, making beats, trying to make music, trying to get the album out there, because I wasn't sure if I was gonna die the next day.
What were your roommates thinking, your fellow soldiers?
Okay, so I had 2 roommates back in Iraq. One of them was David Silver. He was from Texas, and he was always loud. He's a good person. He's one of my good friends. Shout out to David Silver down there in Texas. He's a little short Caucasian kid. But he was loud, so I was like, hey, don't get offended. I'm gonna request another roommate. And I ended up changing roommates with this kid who happened to be from Nat Cheese. Oh, his name was Matthew Reeder. You can see him if you ever buy the album. You'll see pictures of him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, Matthew Reeder ended up being my roommate. He ended up from being Nat Cheese. And what's weird, what makes this world a small place, is that Matthew Reeder used to date my neighbor. My neighbor, my mom's neighbor.
No
yeah.
way.
And I was
you never told me that part of the story.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. And
it's kind of creepy in a way.
Yeah, I found that out all the way out in Iraq, and he ended up being my roommate. Small world.
Do you think that being there made it to where you felt like, well, you already said that. You did say that. You said you had to get this music done because
I wasn't sure if I was going to die the next day.
Yeah, you keep laughing about it, but it's not funny, yeah.
No, well, it's funny now, but then it was a priority. It was, man, there would be some times where I'd make someone go to the cafeteria and bring back my food, and I'd be eating and writing because I didn't have time, I just didn't have time. I was afraid, of never being heard,
That's a cool story.
But anyways, Matthew Reeder, he was quiet. He ended up being my new roommate, and that's how I ended up getting the whole album done. He would just sit there on his computer on his side of the room, and I'd be making all these weird sounds, and and actually you could hear him on After Me when I think someone's knocking, because I always had headphones on, and I'd look at the door, I'd be like, come in, you're knocking, come in. And then Reeder would look at me and be like, what are you talking about? There's nobody knocking.
So that was kind of him mocking you?
Yeah. And so I recorded him one day saying, open the door. It's unlocked. Come in. The door's open. Come on in.
That was a classic song too. I was in Warm Springs a few weeks back, and a woman like around our age, she said, "Oh, you know Nate?" And I go, "Yeah." And then she says, "I like that song After Me. That's my cut." And then we just stopped talking about it after that. But then I was like, "Oh yeah, I like that song too."
Yep, it's definitely
She said
a classic.
that. She didn't have to say that either.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good.
I forgot to tell you that.
Yo, man, there's a lot of brothers out there flaking and perpetrating, but scared to kick reality.